before we get started properly, I'll just kind of do some introductions. So I'm Ben Walker. I'm the CEO and founder of Arise Hotel Marketing. Our mission at Arise is to help others arise, and that can be from helping venues attract more bookings, or giving marketing teams a bit more clarity and confidence about what they're doing as well. And to kind of, I guess, partly fulfill that, we've been running this series of webinars. So far, we've talked about getting ROI for your website, a bit of demystifying paid ads as well. But today, I kind of want to focus on something that I know a lot of venues wrestle with, which is marketing a wedding venue, especially in what is quite a crowded and competitive market. So I'm guessing that if you've joined us today, you're probably responsible for promoting a wedding venue. You might be seeing a lot of frustrating gaps between your bookings. You might be getting pressure from above to bring in more wedding bookings. And you might need some actionable ways that you can reach more of the right couples at the right time. And I hope that we can guide you with that a bit today. But we couldn't do that without the experts on board. So I'm delighted that we're joined today by our guests from I Do magazine, who are partnering with this session. We've got Natasha and Heather. And together they bring quite a wealth of experience from the front lines of the wedding industry. Natasha and Heather, I don't know if you just want to unmute and share a bit about your roles and what I Do is all about.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, hi. Yeah, so we've been going for 15 years now. So we predominantly help wedding venues like yourselves and other suppliers throughout the industry through our network of wedding fairs throughout Yorkshire and the Midlands. We do a magazine that comes out twice a year. We do online directory. I know that some people on here we know already. We have our wedding awards, and I think we've got a Malfi on that was at the awards this year. Yeah. So yeah, we do quite a lot to help support. We also do like networking events as well that we've started just to help companies to maximise the booking potential.
Brill. So kind of what are your individual roles within I Do?
So I'm the marketing manager. I've worked at I Do for nearly 10 years. So I kind of deal with all the email campaigns and the marketing and the social media side of things. And Heather is the head honcho.
Yeah. So yeah, I deal with more the day-to-day runnings of things. We do sales. So yeah, in our team, we all sort of jump in and do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
right.
Lots of things doing all the time.
Right. And yeah, I guess kind of just, you mentioned a bit there, but can you give us any more sort of what your experience is kind of with the, I guess, the coal face of the wedding industry with venues?
I think we've seen a lot of changes over the last few years, particularly since COVID, with how venues market themselves, and couples' buying behaviour has changed a lot more. Couples like to hold on to their purse strings a lot tighter now, so they're doing a lot more research than they were doing before. That's something that we've noticed directly at our wedding exhibitions. We've done them a long time across various locations in the UK, so we do see quite a lot of changes. But yeah, venues seem to be changing with buyer behaviour, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, you'll find as well a lot of venues now, as you guys will know, there's a lot more mini weddings happening.
Yeah.
So people are still wanting to get married, but what they're doing is they're doing a more condensed version.
Yeah.
So they might just do the evening, or they'll have just less guests.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. It is the way things are going as well. I think what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit about the digital marketing side of things. I think, the fact that people are doing much more research up front is kind of really key thing. And that from experience with anything you're buying these days, it's a bigger decision than it used to be, isn't it?
Definitely.
So you bear with me while I just do the classic share my screen. Give me a thumbs up that you can see that. Brilliant. Good thumbs. So yeah, I guess to to start, I'm going to run through, as I say, some of the top areas we suggest you look at when marketing your wedding venue online, before Natasha and Heather just go over some of their insights as to kind of what they think you need to be looking at marketing wise. It's going to be a bit of a whistle stop tour. I did plan a massive 33 slide webinar, but I thought actually I want to cut that back, give some time to shine as well. So there is more detail that you could go into with this, which we may do at a later date, but I will keep it as brief and cut to the important points as much as possible. So yeah, it's been a whistle stop tour. I'm looking at some search marketing, so organic SEO and pay-per-click, a few points on social media marketing, and some website best practices for conversion as well. So getting found through search, the first step with everything is always to get found. Every customer that you've ever had started by just knowing that you exist. And there was a time before that they didn't know you existed. And you want to make sure that you're attracting people who are already looking for a venue like yours, which is where search marketing can be really powerful. So we tend to recommend for our clients a bit of a combination of looking at organic SEO and pay-per-click, which gives you both sustainable, longer-term traffic, as well as that kind of like really immediate, high-intent visibility. And I don't want to kind of teach anyone here to suck eggs. You might already be doing all of this, and if not, it's time to start thinking about it. Or you might be looking to get a bit more from what you are already doing in this, and you're right to do so. I found this quite a big stat, that over 300,000 monthly Google searches in the UK relate to wedding venues. So it's a big pie to get a slice of. And wedding venues as a search phrase alone sees 40,000 or more searches every month, according to Google and SEMrush. So yeah, how can you get your slice of that pie, or a bigger slice if you're already partaking of pie? A stretching metaphor. So first of all, you'll only ever rank for what you actually talk about. So really focusing onto location-driven, relevant content that matches what your couples are searching for is key. So the keywords that you kind of target are really important. So we're kind of given a brief sort of format that we tend to use as a basis for kind of thinking about keywords. And basically, if you use, you're better off using specific, really niche terms that are really about you. I'd always go niche rather than fluffy. So as somewhere that's great for a winter wedding in Derby is gonna really find the right people and find traction, rather than just being found for wedding venues. You kind of among a very broad crowd there. So kind of go as niche as you can. Think about these search terms, and then just make sure that you include them in the right places at the right time in the content on your site. So from page titles and headings, in your body copy, meta descriptions and all that are really important places to put those. And it's also worth noting that content shouldn't just be about SEO keywords. It's important that your content answers some real questions. So the more you can write, the better. So you could think about not just your standard pages, but think about blogs and case studies, testimonials, FAQs. All that stuff is really, really valuable to the human element, not just Google. Another SEO content tip really is to make sure that your wedding packages are really easy to access, ideally on sort of dedicated landing pages, because each of those is then a chance to rank on Google, and it allows you to advertise those individually. It's worth talking about pay-per-click. So you might as well as SEO organically run pay-per-click ads through Google. That really allows you to show up at the exact moment that someone's searching for what you offer. which is great because it's much more immediate and the traffic is really high intent. Again, another stat that wedding pay-per-click typically sees conversion rates of between 5 and 15%, which is really high compared to a lot of industries. So there's a really good opportunity there. But it's really important you get your targeting right. I did a quick bit of research, as you can see on the screen, looked for some wedding venues in Sheffield. Which really, in a lot of ways, these guys have done really nice ads. But always kind of think you're targeting through and what the customer wants. If I want a wedding venue in Sheffield, you look at these, you do a bit of research, they're both about 30 miles away from Sheffield, each in a different county entirely. So just be sure that you target your location wisely and give people what they're actually searching for. PPC offers some really great targeting options and if you tailor those, you kind of avoid wasting spend on showing ads to people who aren't going to buy from you. What you write in your ad is really important too. So just some best practices for ad copy. I won't go too deep into these, but lead with a clear emotional hook. Really sort of highlight what's special about you. So 1 to 2 unique things. Obviously, this example is completely made up, but we've mentioned here, exclusive use, which is something people want to know. We put here the unique afternoon tea experience, which sounds very lovely. Using title case, matching language to target audience, including ad extensions such as the links on the bottom. Just as call to action, just really help your ads stand out a little bit more visually as well. So that kind of approach captures demand that already exists. Couples who are actually ready to take that next step, which is great. So we need to move on from kind of that intent to actually inspiring and creating some desire with those people. That's where social media is really powerful. So social media can keep your venue at the top of mind during that sort of dreaming, researching, planning stage. Again, fairly basic tip, but it's worth repeating that your couples probably aren't on Twitter or LinkedIn. So don't waste your time necessarily on those platforms. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, all really good visual platforms that really align with the wedding market as well. So those are where you want to be putting your time, but don't spread yourself too thin. Wherever you choose, kind of be consistent. We typically say aim for 3 to 5 posts every week across your platforms, and plan ahead. It's not just about sitting down and posting whatever comes into your head. If you use a content calendar, for example, plan ahead just a little bit. You'll be able to stay on track. Align your posts with the seasons and trends and booking peaks and things like that as well. And just vary your posts. So don't just post the same thing over and over. Talk about your food, talk about your venue, talk about the grounds, talk about rooms. And again, delve into kind of what's special about you. And I think it's really important that you just show real things as well. Nothing inspires people like the real thing. Nothing inspires confidence in the same way. So an example here of a post that's sharing some photos of an actual wedding at the actual venue. If you post that kind of stuff, it builds trust, but always tag your location if you can, and that helps reach more local couples as well. But just keep it visual and keep it real. Social media platforms in this market are obviously very visual, and just show off what you've got. You guys have got some beautiful places and a lot of good content that you can leverage, and good visuals inspire and do get traction. Just looking at this example here, I always find that real photos, particularly on Instagram, get so much more traction than graphics and things like that. So if you look here, we've got some nice photos, which look great, have a bit of an emotional impact. Then you've got some graphics. If you look at the stats between a couple of these posts, You can see kind of the beautiful image that is just letting the photo be a photo has nearly 10 times as much engagement than the random graphic at the bottom as well. Very briefly, short form videos are really powerful, and it's increasingly expected on social as well. So make sure you're using Instagram Reels or TikTok as well to start to bring your venue to life. Be sure to add call to actions in your post when it's appropriate. It's just about making it easy for people to take that next step when they are ready. So make sure there's a link to your website in your bio. If you have different links, you might have a link tree in there or something similar as well. And with social as well, just create good content. Things like style shoots are always good and a bit of a win-win for social, giving you really good fresh content, but also kind of that PR potential as well can really multiply your marketing efforts. And then sort of finally for my bit, just kind of looking at the website, you guys go to a lot of expense and a lot of effort to get people to your website. So to lose them here is obviously a bit of a letdown. So just some tips to help convert people at this stage. Again, really good imagery is non-negotiable on your website. 60% of couples say imagery was the top influence when they shortlisted venues and went through that research. And then, real wedding photos apparently drive up to 5 times more engagement. And it's not just about what you've got, that's an important starting place, but it's ultimately using these images to make them feel what it would be like to have their wedding in your venue. A little bit more technical, I think we all know it. Stats show that 70% or more browsing on mobile to plan their weddings these days. So it's critical that your site's fully responsive. It has to load really quickly and just offer a seamless experience on mobile. And the outcome of not doing that is that people just get annoyed and look elsewhere. So if you're working with a web developer, they'd be able to make your site responsive, so it just adapts to every screen size. I mean, that is standard these days, but it's not guaranteed. So just check. Test your site. Open it up on your phone yourself and just have a browse around. How quickly and easily can you get to your wedding info? And just a note that site speed really affects users and affects SEO as well. So that's really worth paying attention to. Again, there's loads of techie solutions for this, including caching and image optimization technologies. But your first step is just to test it. If you there's a free tool called Google Page Speed Insights. You put your web address in there, and it will give you a score out of 100 for how fast your site loads. If your score isn't 80 or above, you've probably got problems to address. And kind of 90 or above is kind of the dream zone to aim for. Obviously, make sure you've got good content on your site. Again, I won't go too deep into these, but you really have to inform people, make sure that everything is there that they're looking for. So having landing pages about your wedding offerings is really important. Packages and pricing. I know it's kind of a bit of a point where some really avoid talking about price, but for me, that's really what people need to know and want to know. So that's kind of a must-have just for transparency and qualifying leads as well. So obviously a brochure, a gallery, so you've got visual proof. Just things like facilities and services, just make sure you're covering those core practical things. Contact details, really important. So if you can, I'd say include kind of a personal contact. This is a really big day for people, so that personal touch helps. So having a personal contact rather than just a sort of cold contact form. And again, I'll probably mention this over and over, but USPs. Just really talk about what sets you apart. If you've got exclusive hire, that's really worth mentioning. If you're the only place in town with 300 parking spaces, actually tell them this stuff on your site. And though kind of what you write is important, it's really critical how you write it as well. Your words should create feeling. So if you haven't, kind of consider what the written tone is on your website. So if you look at the difference between these two examples, first of all, we've got a bit of writing on this website. We have a licensed bar and an experienced team. And then this one, so you and your guests can enjoy handcrafted cocktails from our attentive team, leaving you free to soak up every moment. So the first one was, all well and true and good, and something that you do want to share with people. But the second one, I don't know about you, but it's just much more of an emotional connection. So firstly, it's from their point of view, it's about them. You're communicating exactly the same thing, but the tone is just a bit more romantic and plays to the concerns and desires of the user as well. So yeah, do consider the tone. And yeah, getting to the end now, sort of trust is really important. If you can show proof that you're proof that people can trust you, and people that trust you will be able to more likely to make that inquiry and get in touch. So there's ways of showing this. Awards are a great thing. Obviously, we'll talk about this a little bit as well. Any kind of awards, accreditations, make sure you're showing people. Also testimonials, reviews, any press features or blog coverage as well. Testimonials, if you can get a real photo and real names next to it, that really adds a lot of weight to that. And just kind of consider what the customer's next steps are. So once their questions are answered, they feel that it could be the right place for them, then what's the next thing? What's the next step? Everything on your site really should guide users to a clear call to action when they're ready for that. So this could be a number of steps. Remember that everybody's at a different point in their journey. Don't expect every visitor to convert today. Don't ask them to marry you on the first date. So potential next steps, we've outlined a few here, but they might just take away some information, be researching, might go over the brochure. They might have questions. They might be at that stage and want to make contact. They might want to book in for a show round. So just take an inventory. Make sure see how easy it is for people to do that on your site currently. So for me, kind of your digital side of stuff needs to do three things together well. Let interested people find you. So making sure that your kind of search marketing, your SEO and PPC are on game. Inspiring them is then the important next step. So consistent visual social media content is really important. And then finally, capturing and converting with your website. So yeah, just make sure you're taking them to the next step. If you do all three of those together, you'll attract and convert the right couples and hopefully more of them. But just to finish off the question, I'll kind of leave you all with is, which of those steps do you think is your weakest link? And that's kind of where I think you should start to just make a few improvements. So yeah, that's me. Those are my insights. But of course, there's more to venue marketing than just what happens online. And Natasha and Heather will be able to sort of go over their insights, their real world experience from working directly with couples and venues across the region. So Natasha and Heather, do you want to take over?
Yeah, thank you. It's really good points you've made there, and it's things that we talk a lot to our suppliers about as well. So we've got some, we've come up with some top tips. So we've got 5 that we'll cover.
Yeah.
And this is just from start to finish. It's to go over the wedding fairs, after wedding fairs, what the cost of a customer is worth to people, and companies that are having wedding fairs as well. So I think Tasha's going to start off, and we're going to cover the topic of wedding fairs to start with.
Yeah, so most venues will have done a wedding fair at some point, whether it's at your own venue or if you've done one of our exhibitions or one of the other exhibitions that are out there. But what we're finding and what our experience, and we've done this a long time, is a lot of suppliers, venues included, won't take contact details from couples that they'll meet at a wedding fair, which is quite bizarre if you're wanting to maximise your return on your investment, if you're wanting to convert those couples into bookings. So a really big, and it might be glaringly obvious, but a really big tip is to make sure you've got some form of collecting contact details, similar to how you mentioned, Ben, with having the contact form on a website. It's really important to have some way of collecting details, whether it's just an email address, phone number, get them to follow you on social. You need to have some way of talking to them after the wedding fair. It's really important, because when you've got those details afterwards, that's when you can follow up and you can start to talk to them on a more personal basis and more regularly. And then another thing that I'd mention in relation to wedding fairs is we see this a lot because we've done it quite a while. A lot of venues will send staff members to a wedding fair that don't necessarily want to work on a Sunday and they don't want to be there. That's understandable. People want to have the weekends. We totally get that.
Yeah.
But what we'll often find is those staff that will come and stand at an exhibition for a venue, they don't want to be there, so they'll hide in the corner. They've got the face down to the floor and they're just waiting until 3 o'clock rolls around so they can go home. So just something as a tip, if you've got staff, if you're not going yourself and you're sending staff to a wedding fair, give them some kind of an incentive to make sure that they're going to maximise your return on your investment, because at the end of the day, you've paid good money as a venue to exhibit at that fair, so you need to make sure that your staff are working it properly for you. And then I think Heather's just going to talk about how you can design your stand.
Yeah, so we're obviously compacting this because there's quite a lot to take in.
So I'm talking a bit fast, so I do apologise.
But yeah, coming from a design background, what we find a lot as well is if you're doing a wedding fair or an exhibition, dress your stand appropriately or your space, because we go and we have some companies that will go out of the way. They'll have a great big backdrop of the gardens. They'll create chairs with an aisle, and they'll have candles and flower displays, and try and invite you in so that when you're visiting their space or their stand at a show or an exhibition, you're getting dragged into it so you can feel like you're there already.
Yeah.
So that's a really good practice, is to pick things. Another good way is to dress in stands is if you've got a beautiful area, like a backdrop can be created and you can recreate that room at the venue for your exhibition, so that when people come in, you can invite them in. We see companies turn up and they will bring sideboards, they'll bring candelabras, carpets, flower displays,
stuff
chairs,
out of the
furniture,
venue.
and they'll literally strip half of the venue, bring it to create this display. What we see is the venues that go out of the way to create a stand that is visually impactful tend to get a better return, and they'll get more people inquiring. We do get them people that come and they will have a table, they'll decorate the table, not great, and they'll have a couple of pull-up banner stands, and then they wonder why they've not got any bookings or they've not got people inquiring. So you get a real flip from one to the other of how people dress. And what I say is, when you are at a venue or at a wedding fair exhibition, if we said to a company that at your venue today we're going to bring you 400 couples to potentially want to book a venue, you can guarantee that that company would go out of their way to make their venue look amazing. So at a wedding fair or an exhibition, you need to keep that kind of ethos in there.
Yeah.
So you've got to think, if I've got this captive audience, to spend extra money to make your stand look that much better is worth doing.
Yeah.
Even giving gifts out on the stand. You know, we see people giving a glass of Prosecco, a little hors d'oeuvre. Things like this are all really good ways to attract people in, because people buy from emotions, as you've mentioned, Ben. And it is emotion driven. Everything is. Products tend to come secondary. People buy into you to start with, and the products after. So always maximise, give that person that VIP treatment. The other one is, is dressing for your stand. So this might sound like a really strange thing, but if you're a country wedding venue, you need to dress like you're at the country wedding venue. Tweed, yeah. People come in like high power suits and things, and we see this, but it's more better to create that atmosphere. So if you're a countryside wedding venue, dress to be in a countryside wedding venue. If you're in a town one, dress for being in a town or a city. So dress to your surroundings of your venue. All these little things sound small, but if you put them together, it's quite impactful.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important one to do. So like I said, we could talk about this. Well, we have seminars and we can talk for an hour about this whole thing, but as a snippet, those are some sort of really good tips I'd talk about to say for wedding fairs and exhibitions.
Moving on to tip number 2, Ben, you kind of touched on this a little bit as well, talking about the human element of things. So it is really important. People buy from people. It's really important that you as a venue are personable. So your idea is not just to get the wedding date that a couple might have in mind for their wedding. You kind of try and find out a bit more about them. Find out if they've got kids. Find out what hobbies they do in the spare time. Find out what they might do with the family if they've got any pets.
Yeah.
These are all really important golden nuggets of information that you can do to kind of personalize your approach to your couples. And like you said, Ben, you mentioned try and have a personal wedding coordinator rather than just like a generic sales email. It kind of all lends itself really well. So make sure that you're adding that personal touch for your couples.
Yeah, it's like Tasha said, it is hobbies and interests.
Yeah.
And you can do it when you're chatting to them. If there's a little child there, talk to them, ask them the name, write those little bits of information down, because later on, it's really good to capture their emotions straight away.
Yeah.
And we say this because you'll see this now as well, Ben. It's the power of AI.
Yeah.
So AI's come about fast, and people are already fed up of generated emails from AI. So that's why we say if you can get them golden bits of information, if the child, the name, what year they're in at school, as soon as that person's left your area, or the conversation you're having on a telephone or online or social, if you write that down, when you start addressing them in an email, you can make it about them. Hi, well, great to see you. I hope, Samuel's enjoying his first day at preschool, because as soon as you talk about that, you're inviting them in to an emotion.
Yeah.
So you already feel connected, and it's making that connection. So it's like we said, it's all these little bits, and AI, you'll know it's out there everywhere. And the more you see it, the more you can start picking up them. And they're not personal AI. It's great as AI, but not for everything. So when you're trying to connect with a couple, make sure you've got some of them golden tips of information to be able to drag them in and move with that.
Then for tip number 3, this is really quick fire this.
Yeah.
So for tip number 3, think about the cost that you would attach to your potential couple. So obviously, say for example, your wedding pack, you might have a wedding package that's, let's say, £10,000. So if you can potentially get £10,000 out of that couple, what cost would you attach to it? So for example, for people that we're wanting to work with, we send out information with some freebies and stuff in the post, and it all costs us, let's say, £10, but we might get £300 back. So if you can invite your couples to your venue for something different, that's kind of going to get them over the line, which I think Heather's going to go into detail about.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk over Heather now.
That's fine. So yeah, and like I said, we're talking about meeting people in person, wedding fairs. So like Tasha said, if you can attach a cost, so for instance, like Tasha said, if you've got £10,000, it's not just about the booking, it's about the drinks that's bought on the day, it's about the overnight stays, it's about people that may want to stay over an extra night. So if you look at the whole cost of what people spend at a wedding for that day, it's big. So what I say to people is, if I said to you, give me £100 and I'll give you a couple, people would go, yeah, I'd do that every day. I would for a venue, because I know that there's you've got your price for the drinks and things is where the profit's made as well. So what we'd say is, at a fair, or if you're talking, instead of just inviting people for a look round, and I know a lot of people might do this, but sometimes it needs to sort of touch back in. Think of what you do. So we recommend to companies that you might want to invite them for an afternoon champagne afternoon tea, yeah,
free of charge,
because you've got the cost of the food, which in the grand scheme of it's not a lot, and you've got the cost of the drink, which, you know, again, if the whole package cost you £30, to them that value might be 50, 60. You could another idea is if you invited them for a meal or a meal and an overnight stay, and this goes on obviously what you would pay to get that customer.
Yeah.
So if you're a venue that has a lower price point, you might just invite them for an afternoon tea. If you've got a couple that's coming and it's a higher price point because of the type of venue, you might want to invite them for bed, breakfast and evening meal.
Or a spa day.
Or a spa day if you've got a spa. So, because you've got to look at that, you've got to get them to buy into you. So if you can wine and dine them, you've got that captive audience. It's about you making sure that everybody knows that this couple is potentially coming to book and giving them that VIP treatment.
We like VIP treatment.
Yeah, it's those things that brings your couples in, and it will keep your couples, because I know from personal experience, if we go somewhere and they suddenly give you all this stuff, you kind of go, oh, this is great, and you buy into it.
Yeah.
And that's the point of all this. It's to get couples to buy in. So whatever you're going to pay, make sure you can reciprocate that in a gift to them.
Tip number 4. I'm not sure if any of the venues on here know, mind you, it says it in our name. We've got a wedding magazine. So we're just going to talk about print media as another tool that you can use as a venue to market yourself. As well as within print media as well, it's important to make sure that you've got multiple touch points with your couples. So if you have got, say, for example, an advert, you're not only going to have an email address on there, you can have a QR code as well, or you could have a WhatsApp number or an invite to social. Try and use multiple touch points across your print media, so you're talking to your couples in a variety of different ways, which I think is really important. We do it in our magazine. We use QR codes throughout everything now, because most people have got a mobile phone in the hand, and like you mentioned, Ben, 70% of couples are looking and doing most of the shopping on the phone now, so it's really important that you're kind of mobile friendly. So WhatsApp and those kind of touch points is just as important as email, and through social as well. I mentioned it earlier as well, bumpy mail. We love bumpy mail.
It's that thing of working hand in hand. You know, having the website that people can go to, having the bumpy mail. If you have all these things together, it works really well. The power of email is good, if you can work it right, but giving them something different. I guess it's the thing when you go back to junk mail. Everybody used to hate it. Email come about, everybody wanted them to email, and these scales have now leveled off. So
shifted,
they have shifted. So if I get something through the post that's we call bumpy mail, you open it up because you think you've got a present.
Amazon,
prime example. So we always have bumpy mail. So to give people an idea for ours, we send out our information, but we might put a little card with a tea bag on and a bar of chocolate with a little letter saying, sit down, have a look, make a brew, eat some chocolate, look through the stuff, because we get, by doing bumpy mail, an 80% conversion rate.
It's bribery. It's clever bribery.
But same as doing an afternoon tea.
Yeah,
it's
exactly
bribery.
the same thing. Exactly the same thing. So with our magazine, we've got Heather is the senior graphic designer at I Do, so she knows pretty much everything there is to know about how to market your venue in print design.
It is. It's from having an online brochure on your website is super important, because like Ben said, everybody's online these days. But if you can capture them as well and create a sequence, you can then send them out a brochure. So having a good brochure design with full of images, we see a lot of designs come in and people will ask us to design a brochure and all they're wanting is pictures, and that's great. But then you get some that wants to put every single bit of information on, and people don't this day have the time to sit and read. They like to look at pictures, like they do on a website.
Real pictures.
Having a really good designed brochure and spending that time to do it is really important, because you can reflect this onto your website and you can have the brochure on both. So that works also very well. I think then we'll move on, because I'm looking at time. We're going to talk about companies that have wedding fairs in-house. And we've noticed a lot now, especially with the power of social, lots of companies coming out there that are fake. It's rife at the moment. So what we would say as well to any venue is please vet the people that come to your wedding fairs and stand there, because you don't want to get tarnished with having a scam supplier on there.
Yeah, we see it quite a lot, and it's quite scary just how many venues are happy to have suppliers on their books that they will recommend out to their couples, but then they don't actually know if they've got insurance or something like that. So if you've got a list of preferred suppliers and one of them lets a couple down, that couple are also going to then go direct to you, and as Heather mentioned, it'll tarnish your reputation. So make sure that you're vetting your suppliers. It's important to build trust as well, you know, with your couples, and chat to your suppliers that you know as well. You know, you can recommend each other. It's important to build that community between your venue and the suppliers that you use. Couples are very wary now, because it's all over social media. You see another Facebook group popping up every day with a couple that's been burned, and they're trying to get the money back, but the supplier has gone poof, disappeared.
Yeah.
So building trust is really important.
Yeah. From that, Ben, and our whistle stop 5 points, we will go back over to you.
Thank you very much. That's been really quite insightful. Hopefully kind of very valuable to people. I think together we probably could have done 4 or 5 webinars on all this, couldn't we?
Yeah. So
it's been very crammed a lot in. So yeah, thank you so much. So I guess kind of for the last part of this, we're just going to move on to a bit of kind of Q&A, a bit of open discussion. We've covered a heck of a lot, like we say, but no session can actually cover everything. So if you've got questions or challenges or anything, we'd love to hear them. Again, there's no silly questions. If you're wondering something, there's someone else probably is too. So feel free to drop your thoughts in the chat or on mute or put your hand up, whatever works for you. We'll answer what we can. Yeah, so otherwise we'll just ask each other.
I've got a question for you, Ben. So on social and on, do you know, like you're on a website, what is the attention span, or how many seconds have you got before a couple goes, I'm fed up with this, and swipes off? Because I know that everybody's got this attention span, haven't they? And there's so many seconds to capture them before they disappear.
Yeah, I don't know the exact stats on it. I do know that there's a stat that people judge, basically form a judgment about you on your website within less than 0.05 seconds.
Wow.
0.05?
I thought you were going to say 2 or 3.
Yeah, which always amazes me, because, you know, have any of our websites actually loaded in that time?
Yeah.
And what they've seen in that time, you know, they've not read anything at that point. So you are pretty much straight back to your brand, your colours, your imagery. It's just got to make that first emotional impact.
Yeah. God, I didn't realise it was that quick.
I thought it would a couple of seconds, if we're honest, but that's quite a scary thought to think it's so slow. Well, so fast.
Yeah, it's literally, I looked this up, it's literally faster than the blink of an eye.
Wow.
To blink extra fast.
Yeah. I guess a question for you guys. It's interesting hearing about the fairs and the stands. I'm kind of wondering I don't know whether to ask what's the weirdest stand you've ever seen, or what's the most impressive.
We once had a venue, will not mind me mentioning them because we work with them on a regular basis, at Ringwood Hall. It's not weird, but it's a testament to how hard a venue will work. They brought one of their really heavy old chairs. Can you remember?
Yeah.
And it was at Ice Sheffield when we were doing the exhibition at the time, which it didn't fit in the lift, and it was a massive old like armchair.
Yeah.
It looked amazing in their stand, and then I think they brought part of one of their tables, like oak dining tables and stuff, and they brought furniture out of the venue because they had a really big space to decorate, and you could see the staff sweating while they were bringing it all there.
But the stand looked amazing.
Looked fantastic.
But they were promoting their spa.
Yes.
So they got people into spa for stag and hen do's. The other good thing, I'll go back onto all the weird ones we've had, but another good thing they did is they did like a virtual, do you know the virtual
VR headset?
VR headset. So they did a VR headset and had a video so people could pop it on, and they did a show around the actual venue. And that was really good, yeah. So, but other bizarre ones.
We see all kinds of weird and wonderful things at our exhibitions.
I think in the wedding industry, you look and go, there can't be any more new trends. We must ride up with them. You know, we've gone through the chocolate fountains, which came and went fast. Photo booths, which have took on totally different ways and means of how to do it these days, from a booth to a little camera to vintage. Crisp walls.
Yeah,
crisp walls, donut walls, they're quite interesting.
Indoor fireworks we're seeing a lot at the minute, and a lot of venues are starting to work with indoor fireworks companies as well, because it's that wow factor for your wedding if you've got outdoor space as a venue.
Cold sparks,
fountains, not fireworks.
But so there's always something really wonderful. We once had, you know, the ladies that do the ropes and the ribbons, and they wind themselves up, and
like gymnastics, aerobatics.
Yeah,
we had that.
And then we once had a snow globe.
Oh yeah, we had
a human snow globe.
We had ice skaters who brought their own ice rink, weren't they? And they were in snow. That was weird.
I guess that's the most bizarre one.
We nearly had somebody who was going to bring a llama petting zoo one year, but then they couldn't sort out health and safety.
We've had horses and snakes.
So I suppose we have had weird stuff.
Yeah, they're all coming out now. Think about it. So
totally irrelevant to this webinar, but
No, but it's still one of the things I actually cut out the webinar. Obviously, we talked about sort of USPs anyway. But just that whole thing of, you know, showing off what's special about you. I did a bit of research, looked at some PPC ads of wedding venues that came up, and one was a wedding venue with Highland cows.
It's perfect.
I bet for most of the people in the wedding industry or people that work there, they probably just go to work every day. There's Highland cows. We have Highland cows. It's just normal.
But they love them.
People don't see like that's an amazing thing. Talk about it.
Yeah, and another good tip for venues as well is people, we're a nation of pet lovers, and dogs now are very, very prominent in weddings. So I think when people talk to couples this is a tip, make sure that the people come with a proper dog chaperone and hire a proper dog chaperone, because all that'll happen is you're going to have a dog that's probably stressed sitting in somebody's office.
So, that's if you're a dog-friendly venue.
And for the dog-friendly venues, try and make sure that you get a dog chaperone that's licensed. And insured for being a dog chaperone, not just a dog walker, because it's two different things. And that's this is something that's like growing really fast in weddings. Pets at weddings.
I think Natalie has a question.
Like this.
Yeah, do you want to unmute or?
Hello. So I guess my question's for I do. I guess it's just, what sort of advice would you give to smaller, lesser known venues when it comes to standing out at wedding fairs, or, you know, just getting themselves out there if they might not have all the resources or the budget that a larger venue might have?
To be honest, you can take things from your own venue to create the setting. You don't have to spend a fortune.
No.
When we mention Ringwood, everything they brought was from the actual venue. So they had like these, you know, the grass walls with the flowers on. They brought those and stood those up. You have things like a carpet. You can go to a carpet shop and ask them to cut you a piece for your stand size, and they'll hem it, and it can cost you £20–30. So just little tips like these, or a vinyl that you can roll out and you can reuse. All these things are quite easy to do. You're going to have your brochures, your leaflets, but little tips like that, bringing the equipment from the actual venue is what I'd say. You don't need to go to the expense of having this all singing, all dancing stand.
I think the other thing I'd just quickly mention as well is every venue, regardless of size, if you're a small venue, I think smaller venues in particular, obviously because it's more of an investment when you come into a wedding fair, which I totally get. Make sure you send somebody that's going to be happy talking to people and that's going to kind of create and extend the personality of the venue. So rather than just somebody who's terrified of talking to people, to maximize your time at the venue, it doesn't cost anything. Send somebody that's kind of practiced and is really friendly and really welcoming, and, you know, practice ways of starting a conversation. So if a couple will walk past you and they've got a baby in arms, you can start by saying hello to the baby. These are all free things. It's like personalizing your interaction is free. Yeah. It's a low cost thing, and then smaller venues in particular will be more likely to do this because they're in it every day. So, you know, like unique quirks that you might have as your venue, you're more likely to want to promote them as a smaller venue because, you know, every sale is even more important than, I suppose, the bigger ones.
Yeah. For us, when anybody comes to us, we do anything we can to help people anyway. To help come up with solutions. For every problem, there's a solution for, as we say.
Thank
you. Hope that helps.
Cool. So any sort of last call for any questions? Anyone holding on to anything? Any crazy questions out there?
Everybody's silent.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I think we've given everyone quite a lot to chew on there anyway. So yeah, I mean that'll be everything from us for today. Really big thank you to Natasha and Heather, and of course to everyone else for joining us as well. If you do think of any other questions after the session, it's always when you hang up on these things that all the questions come into your head. We're all still here to help. We put our contact details on the screen, so please do get in touch if you do have questions. And thank you again. We hope that you kind of left with some fresh ideas and some next steps for marketing your wedding venue a bit more effectively as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.